we're here, Nova Lab Studios, downtown LA. I'm with Jacob Orth of Jacob's Life in Vegas from YouTube. Jacob, I know you had a live stream today. You were walking around Summerlin, so thanks for thanks for being able to hop on after.
You're welcome, man. No big deal. I just had to work the schedule out so that I could do the live stream and then get here in time. So I
Yeah, you look
appreciate you.
tired.
One little bit, man. You know, it's sometimes it's long. It's long days.
Yeah,
Even though it's a full time income now, it's sometimes there are some long days doing it. So
yeah, man, I can imagine. So, so prior to your move to Vegas, where were you? Where'd you come from? What were you doing before the where you're at now?
well, before I moved here, I was in school, man. I was in college at San Jose State. So I lived in San Jose, California,
Nice.
before I came here to Las Vegas. So it's definitely a change to come from San Jose to Las Vegas or the Bay Area to Las Vegas.
All right.
So I came here the day after I finished my last final.
Oh, really?
wasted no time getting out, man. I had the plan set and everything. I had all my stuff packed in my apartment, drove my car to the school, took my final. After the final, I drove to my parents' place in the Central Valley, stayed the night there, woke up the next day, left about 11 in the morning, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
And then I made it to Vegas by about 7 o'clock, between 7 8 o'clock that night. Just drove the whole way. Stopped, I think, once. Yeah, I think I stopped once in Tehachapi or something like that, and started my new life.
So you said, so it was already planned, obviously. How long had you been planning that? Like, how long did you scope out the area, do your research and all that before deciding, okay, I'm gonna go there once I graduate?
So let's see. I first had the idea. I moved here in the wintertime. Like I moved here during the holidays. So I first had the idea like that spring of that same year.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, we want to go to Vegas or, like maybe go out of state over the summertime. Kind of thought about it here or there. Then as the fall started, I was getting to my last semester. And I was like, I really didn't want to stay in California. I didn't want to stay in the Bay Area.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
uh, no, I was just saying. So I knew going into the fall that I didn't really want to stay in California. I didn't want to stay in the Bay Area. Um, and I knew if I was going to go somewhere, then that was the time to do it was right after school because I knew the longer I stayed where I was at, the more I started working there, going in that direction of that career field or trying to climb a corporate ladder or whatever the case was, the more time I invested there, the harder it was going to be to leave. So I
Right.
felt like if I'm going to leave, like now is a good time
Right.
to do it. Now's probably the best time, and that's what I ended up doing. I came to Vegas the Monday after Thanksgiving because it was
Mm.
super cheap time to come here. I stayed at the Imperial Palace, which is
Sure.
over on the Strip. I think
Uh,
I got it for yeah, that's right. Great. I think I got it for $19 a night. Had
Nice.
roaches in the room. I just get switched rooms my second night because they're second or third day roaches. And I just went around looking for jobs working in nightlife because that's what I'd done before
Hmm.
in California, like in the off season from football while I was in school. So I knew in Vegas people work hospitality, nightlife, tourism, anything in that realm.
Right.
A lot of people did that for a living. Some do it for a career and they make a good income doing it. So I went around looking for jobs in nightlife, and my um, second night I was out, I got an application. I mean, I went to several places, got applications, and then a guy at the front door overheard me talking, saying I was from San Jose,
Hmm.
and he actually went to San Jose State. And he said, "Come back tomorrow, and I'll introduce you to the hiring manager." So
That's
I
pretty
did. I
cool.
came back the next day. It was the third day I'd been in Vegas. Um, got to meet the hiring manager. Had my application all done with resume. And he said, "Well, the general manager will be here in about 2 hours." I sat down with him, talked to him, did like a preliminary interview. They said the GM will be here in about 2 hours if you want to come back. And I'm like, I'm just staying here. So I just stayed there, waited for him, did another interview with him. And he said, "Okay, so we'll hire you, but I had to get these work cards um, in order to be able to work there. So
Hmm.
to get a sheriff's card, a TAM card and a health card. And he said, you got to get all of those before you go back to California. So that was what I spent the next 2 days doing, was just getting all three of those.
Dang.
And then I signed, I believe I came, it was Saturday afternoon. My flight was coming back. So Saturday morning, I just went, looked at a place that, I found was available, and looked at a place, liked it, and signed the lease that day right before I flew back. And I flew back, was back for about 3 weeks, took my last final I had, and then I was out. Had a lease signed, had a job lined up, and was just on my way.
That's pretty efficient.
Yeah, it worked. It worked out well in that regard. I mean, I just had some money saved up. I took the leap of coming out here for a week to try to set up a place to live and a job, and that's what I was able to do. So I came here. I think it was about $2,200 I had in my bank account when I moved here. So I had a little bit of cushion, but not a lot.
Right.
So I was glad to have that job in place, and I saved every penny, especially those first couple months I was here. If I didn't absolutely need to spend the money, I wasn't spending it. So, because I had 6 figures of student loan debt to get out of, so that wasn't exactly fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has worked out well so far.
What were you studying when you were at San Jose State?
So my undergraduate degree and my graduate degree were both in business.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to school and playing football. And my initial plan was actually to graduate in the fall of my senior season during football, because, football is a sport in the fall. And a lot of guys, their senior year, if they only have, normally you have to take 12 units to be a full-time student athlete to stay eligible. But if you're graduating in that last semester when you're a senior, you're graduating in the fall. If you only have 2 classes, then you only take 6 units, and that's fine. Or you could have 1 class, so you have 1 class is 3 units. That's all you need to take. So I initially was going to do that, but then when my coach had told me that if I got into grad school, he'd pay for a whole year of my graduate school, I expedited my undergraduate graduation and actually ended up graduating early. The spring of that year, I took 27 classes in 2 years, so I could graduate earlier than I was anticipating initially to go to graduate school. So my first year of graduate school, I was still playing football. So that was how graduate school came into play. And then I still had a whole bunch of other debt to pay off, some from graduate school and undergrad.
Right.
So it was a lot.
What position did you play?
I was an offensive lineman.
Dang.
Yeah,
that's a big responsibility.
Yeah, it was. And I was a big boy too, so no need to be so big anymore, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's crazy. So are you originally from the Bay Area? You went to school there. Are you from there?
I grew up in the Modesto area, so the Central Valley. That's where I'm originally from.
Oh, okay.
So lived there at 18. I moved to the Bay Area, went to community college for 3 years, ended up being 3 years, then transferring to San Jose State. So I initially thought I was going to go to community college for 1 year, because I had one very good first year when I was there. But after having to have both of my shoulders operated on in that summer, the off season, I missed my second season. And then in my third season, I actually got my leg broken in the third game of the year.
Oh, shit.
So played the whole first year, had to miss my second year because of injury. Then in my third year at community college, got my leg broken in the third game. So when I transferred, I actually had to apply. I got to apply for 1 more year to play college football because I'd missed, so many games. So yeah, it was a rough road.
Yeah, that sounds pretty brutal, man.
Yeah, having 5 surgeries in about just over 2 years wasn't exactly thrilling, especially when you're in your early 20s.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Okay, so now we've made it to Vegas. So your channel, like we were talking prior to recording, so your channel's just recently turned 6 years old, right?
Yeah, as of about a month ago, so May 15th.
So did you start the channel like right when you got to Vegas?
No, I'd been here about a year and a half. So been here about a year and a half when I decided to start it. I thought about it a little bit beforehand. When I first moved here, it was not part of the plan at all. That was not part of the plan. But after I'd been here for some time, there are a couple other like business coaches or entrepreneurs on YouTube I like to follow. I'd gotten some coaching from, and one of them directly said I should start a YouTube channel, and I was very much against it. Another one, just in his videos, he would talk about how great YouTube is for marketing
Hmm.
because it's free and you can reach a ton of people on it. Um, and it's a great platform. I mean, compared to a lot of other social media accounts, because it's probably the most challenging one um, to do, and it's probably got the best results, I would say, for because you can put a video up on YouTube and it'll stay up there forever, and people
Hmm.
will find it through search. Where Instagram is not quite the case. Facebook, Twitter, like a lot of times your content doesn't live as long on those platforms as it does on YouTube. So I have videos that people still comment on my videos sometimes that I make 3, 4 years ago. I'll get a comment, I'll get a notification, somebody just commented on one of those videos. So um, I was here for about a year and a half when I decided to do it, just because I remember thinking when I was getting ready to move here, there was like nothing about living in Las Vegas. There were, I believe, two videos. One was a girl driving in her car. And her channel, I think, was about hair and hair care. She just happened to do a video about living in Vegas. And one guy did a video, looked like he recorded on like the original Game Boy or something. It was awful. Could hardly see it. Could hardly hear what the hell he was saying. It was just like, I was just using like city data for a website and asking people in the Bay Area that had any or anybody I knew that might have some connection to Vegas, just asking them. Like that was all there
Yeah.
was. So there weren't even people talking about like tourist attractions regularly or anything. I was so shocked that a city like Vegas did not have people regularly posting content
Hmm.
about it. I found a bunch of stuff about moving to Hawaii, but for Las Vegas, there was hardly anything. So I was like, okay, well, here's an opening in the marketplace. I think I can fill this, and I think I can build an income around it, around helping other
Hmm.
people.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool situation to be in where you're the first to the market, like you said. Because
Yeah,
I that's how I found your channel initially. Was I think it was like a couple of years ago. I was because I lived in Ohio and I was making my way. I'm originally from LA. I went to school in Ohio. I was working there and I was, looking to. I had to come back home and I was like, well, Vegas is pretty close to home. Maybe I can go there instead. So when I was like doing research on, it, I think that's how I found your channel. And then I was like,
yeah.
I'm like, this is a lot of content about just this general area. And I mean, it's very helpful, and it's very
Yeah.
informative. And then once I kind of started watching enough of them, I would like kind of go through your comments and stuff, and people are super engaged with your content.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think big part of that is if you're getting ready to move here, then yeah, you're going to be paying close attention
Mm,
and consuming all the information you can because you're about to make a big change in your life. Moving to another state, and especially moving to a place like Vegas where people just think of it as a place to come on vacation for a few days. A lot of people don't think of Vegas as a place to live your life.
right.
So, you know, it's been good to be able to help a lot of people in that regard. At this point, it's tens of thousands, I'm sure, that have moved here who saw my content before they moved here, and some who lived here before I even had a channel. And they see my content and they just recognize me around town and say hi. Like, oh, we've lived here for 15 years. We just happened to see your videos one day and they like to watch them.
Yeah, because the other
So
thing is it's also helpful for people that live there because you discuss some things where it's like if there's a law that just passed or is being discussed to possibly pass, you break it down in very simple terms. Because if you just look at that on your own, it's just a bunch of jargon that's tough to comprehend. And so you just break it down in very simple terms and you just say this is what it is. They're going to vote on it on this date, whatever. So I can see that being beneficial for people that aren't even necessarily looking to go there, that are already there. It's like, well, what exactly is this thing, especially if you don't really follow it. So I think it's something that has an appeal for everyone, local or even tourists, because you have even that stuff too, like good tips for a trip to Vegas, stuff like that. You have a good amount of content like that too that I've found helpful too because I go there. I went like 7 times. Went like 7 times last year or something. I came right before
uh,
COVID, right before the COVID happened in March 9th or something. I went and then we're trying to make our way back soon in a couple months again.
Nice, man. Well, maybe it'll be a little more normal by the time you get back here in a few months. We'll see, man. Because there's definitely a contingent of people who feel that in the next few weeks Vegas is either going to get shut down again or there's going to be a big increase in numbers in the virus. So I mean, it's everything is just time will tell. So it's one thing people ask me, like, "I'm coming in September. Will everything be normal by then?" It's like I have no idea.
Yeah, no way to know.
Like nobody knows.
Yeah, because I
So
saw you put a video when you were was it the first day Fremont had opened up or something, and it was slammed.
yeah, Fremont. Well, they opened part of it, but not like under the canopy, and it was busy. Like the moment people could get out of their house, and they knew that
Exactly.
numerous places were open, they were. Because before that, I walked on Fremont, and there were, I believe, three places downtown that were available for you to go eat at, and that was about it. And they had a handful of people there, but not that busy. But once word got around that more and more businesses were opening up, then more and more people just got out of their home to go out and eat and just enjoy themselves.
Right.
So now it's Canopy is open. Most businesses downtown seem to be open. The strip is more hit or miss, but downtown for the most part seems to be pretty open. It's just the volume of people, of course, are not there yet. Just like like we had before, it's not there.
Yeah, because I saw on the strip, some like MGM and Caesars opened up some of their casinos, not all of them. And then I had seen, I forget what was the first date that it actually opened, but I saw a picture in an article of someone of the casino floor, like someone was on a roulette table, and there was just a bunch of people like in the walkway area on the same table. I'm like, it doesn't look like those social distancing stuff is happening in there.
There's no way they're gonna in the casinos. They have the plexiglass dividers. MGM does that. They have some. Um, they have some certain aspects put in place to try to prevent. Certain restrictions in place to try to prevent
Hmm.
the spread or do what they can. But I mean, I was at Golden Nugget the first day. I was there. I stayed there actually on the third, June 3rd, because then at midnight was when they reopened officially the casinos on June 4th, and there's no way they can keep people to social distance. There's
Yeah.
no way inside a casino. It's not going to happen. The amount of staff you would need, it's just logistically impossible from what I've seen in a casino to do that. So they do things like they have every other slot machine turned off so people aren't crowded next to each other. But at the table games or just at people walking around, I don't see how they're going to be able to keep people apart. So that's kind of the big challenge they face. Certain things like restaurants, pools, the Bellagio Conservatory, they only allow a certain number of people in there at a given time.
Hmm.
But I mean, Vegas is one of those situations where I think Vegas's size, Vegas is just always bigger and bigger. Like bigger is better, right?
Hmm.
To get more people here, but all those people in that big size is kind of working against Las Vegas right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tricky situation. Hopefully, obviously everywhere, but especially with that, because when I heard like that was like the plan, I was like, the plan sounds good and all, because like I had MGM emailing me, Caesars emailing, the mass emails they're sending to everyone. I'm like, this sounds great, but I feel like you're gonna need a good amount of luck trying to actually enforce it.
They are, and it's going to be tough for them. And the thing to remember, this is what I was told by one of the staff members at the Golden Nugget, is the whole restriction on 50% capacity. Um, that's only within the casino. That's from the gaming control board. And the gaming control board, I was told they only have authority over the gaming area, so the casino.
Hmm.
So if one of the hotels wanted to be at 100% occupancy, if they had the numbers to do it, they could have the hotel at 100% occupancy. It's just the
Oh.
casino floors are supposed to be at 50% at most. But
Okay.
again, trying to manage that can be a challenge because all these casinos, they connect to the hotel and they connect going in and outside on the strip. So to manage that is difficult to say the least. But that was what one of the staff members at Golden Nugget told me. So the gaming control board only that 50% occupancy only applies to the casino, not to the hotel.
I see. I had understood the opposite. I thought it was the hotel had to be at 50%, which kind of didn't make sense to me because I was like, well, the rooms aren't open. It's like you have walls,
Right.
obviously, so that kind of didn't make sense, but that makes more sense. So something else I wanted to ask you is, so that first year and a half prior to the channel, then I guess the first few months, let's say, like, was there a period of acclimation that you kind of went through going from, Bay Area to Vegas, or was it seamless for you? Like, right as you got there, fully settled in, moved in, you're like, yeah, I'm good.
Um, I mean, there's a transition. I mean, I said it came by myself, so I didn't have, some people might come here as a couple or they come with their whole family or whatever. So even if you're in a new area, you have that immediate support system. I didn't have that,
Hmm.
so I was just on my own, making this move, and I also came here said in the wintertime when the wintertime here, and I was working graveyard. So I
Ooh.
remember in the beginning working here graveyard during the wintertime, like I hardly saw the sun at all in the beginning when I was here. So that probably didn't help. I would be doing 10-hour minimum shifts, my job doing nightlife. So it's a bit of a transition because you get here, you don't know anybody, you don't have that system set up yet. I was working a whole lot because it was the busy time um, at the club because convention season.
Hmm.
Convention season here in Vegas is January to about May. That's when we have a lot of our biggest conventions. So
Right.
I was working, gosh, we're doing like 119 hours on one of my paychecks.
Wow, for two
1 week
weeks?
or we paid yeah, for 2 weeks, 119 hours I did.
Wow.
So it was pretty much back to back 60-hour weeks. So, it was great making the money. It was great paying off debt and doing that kind of thing. But, sometimes it can be a little, um, you know, it can be a little unfulfilling if that's all you're doing. And I'm in this place where I haven't got to know the area yet. I haven't really made a whole bunch of friends or anything like that. That comes with time. So, I mean, that eventually did come. And now, I mean, I like my life here. I've
Yeah.
got to meet some pretty cool people here in Vegas. Part of that has come from being in the online space. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's an adjustment. I would say moving somewhere new. Um, the weather wasn't too big of an adjustment actually. I mean, other than I guess it being dry. The one thing I did miss initially that took me a little time adjusting was trees and not seeing as much green as I was used to seeing in California. So California, even when I go back to the Central Valley, I'm used to seeing like, open farmland. Well, here
Mm.
it's just open desert instead of
Yeah.
open farmland. But there, in California, you have lots of huge trees that provide some good shade. Here in the desert, you don't have that.
Yeah.
So, but I, I got used to that too, though.
Yeah, and also, but one of the big draws for me too is obviously cost of living is drastically different.
Oh yeah. Usually rent anywhere from about 40 to like 60% cheaper versus versus LA, but definitely versus the Bay Area because the Bay, as expensive as LA is, the Bay Area usually tends to be even more expensive. So yeah, your cost of living being significantly cheaper for rent, for a mortgage, gas being anywhere from like 25 cents up to like $1 cheaper per
Mm.
gallon. Just depending on the station, depending on the gas stations, depending on seems like the time of year. Not paying state income taxes is huge. So, I mean, that saves you money right there. Those are the typical things that draw a lot of people here to Nevada and, draw them out of California to Nevada or Arizona or some other state.
Right.
So,
So you said you're happy there now. But what would you say are some of the drawbacks, I guess, of the area? I know you've made some
so
videos.
some of
You've discussed some stuff, but if, I think is there stuff that you put like locals hate this about the strip, for example, or something like that. You have some certain things that you would put that might trying to remember, or maybe it was something about. I think it was when MGM they like bumped resort fees, or they brought back parking, which I know they recently put made free again. It was something that I saw. So I'm kind of curious for you. What are some of the things that aren't aren't ideal, but obviously are still tolerable?
well, I mean, if you're talking about parking with the casinos, yeah, when they start charging for parking, a lot of the locals were upset about that because locals tend not to go to not to go to the strip a whole lot unless you have family in town.
Mm.
Maybe on occasion you're going down there for something, but yeah, I mean, locals paying to park was that pissed a lot of them off. Some of the complaints here people say when they get here is they live here for and they say, oh, people aren't friendly here. They say their neighbors don't say hi. They don't feel like there's much of a community. But I tend to think people are friendlier here to strangers than I experience in California, particularly in the
Yeah.
bigger cities.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel yeah, when I'm in LA or the Bay Area, if I'm walking past a stranger on the street, their like head is in their phone, or they're like trying not to make eye contact. Where here in Vegas, a lot of people are like, "Good morning." Like it's way more common for people to say good morning here
Yeah.
to each other, just to strangers when you're out for a walk. Um, as far as like meeting friends or making new friends, it can be more challenging in adulthood because when you're a kid, you have your friends you grew up with from school or whatever the case is, or teams you're on, clubs you're in, whatever the case is, and you have those friends, for life. But when you're an adult in a new place, you have to go make new friends. That's why I tell people, I say, you have to go and talk to people, join a club, join a group, or a lot of times you wherever you work at, that's probably going to be your first social
Mm.
circle is, people you work with, your coworkers who can help introduce you to people and that kind of thing. So, I mean, you only really need is like one person that can introduce you to some other people, and that's about it.
Right.
So, other people say that. But also part of it just depends on where you live too, because some communities here, like if you live in like Seven Hills in Henderson, or if you live like in Mountain's Edge in the southwest part of town, a lot of these communities do lots of community events.
Hmm.
So a lot of people in those communities get to know each other because they understand that people are from all over the world that move here. So I mean, if you're willing to partake in those events and you're willing to, just like open your mouth and go say hi to some people and be a little extroverted, then you might be surprised that people are pretty friendly and you can make some friends. So those are some of the drawbacks I hear. People, what else? A lot of people say the public education system here is not very good, and that's true.
I've actually heard that
Um,
as well.
yeah, and then again, I came from California, which their public education system is no shining beacon either. So I mean, they're both usually pretty poor. So you have a lot of people here that either choose to send their kids to private school, to charter school, to challenger school, or they homeschool. Homeschooling is a popular option here,
Hmm.
um, as well for a lot of people. So there are choices outside of that. There are some public schools that are good, but that's been a challenge here in Nevada for a lot of years. So nonetheless, we have thousands and thousands of families that raise their kids here, and they like it here. So um, so those are probably some of the bigger ones that I hear people talk about. Um, but I mean, hey, we got more people moving in than moving out,
Yeah,
so I guess it's
definitely.
still
And I know a lot of them
they're
are
just out there.
coming from like California specifically. I read about it regularly that they're either coming from here, they're either going to Vegas or they're going to somewhere in Arizona, starting to go to Idaho, and I mean it's not surprising why it's really expensive. To name
Yeah,
one of
I
the
mean,
reasons. I
yeah,
mean, there's other stuff too, but that's kind of a big one.
yeah. Well, I've heard the saying before that California is a beautiful state, but the people have ruined it, and there's definitely some truth in it because I mean the state, the geography of the state, the natural beauty of it is absolutely amazing.
Hmm.
I mean, from the beach to the mountains to the desert to the farmland. I mean, it's amazing. It's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, I mean, so to leave all of that to go somewhere else definitely tells you something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm kind of curious. There's one you've had a couple of pretty cool people that you have like collab videos with that you bring on for whatever may be. I remember there was one that I saw. I can't remember the person's name. They worked for the one of the water companies or something, and they were this was maybe at least a year or so ago. That's one kind of person, and there's kind of one of the reoccurring ones you have. And again, I forget her name. Sorry, the realtor lady that you bring on too. So how did those videos kind of come about for you? Like first the thought of let me do something like this, and then when it came to okay, that's what I want to do. How did you decide I'm gonna try and reach out to this person or whomever?
Well, the water was just because so many people had. Actually, I did a collab with Mr. Beat was his name about water in Las Vegas or water in Southern Nevada. Because I mean, people were like, "Well, Vegas can't go on forever because there's not enough water." And like, I don't always have the most faith in politicians and government bureaucrats, but I have to at least have I have to. anticipate that we're not just gonna have Vegas grow and grow and grow and grow, and we're just gonna run out of water and all die of dehydration. Like that'd be a plan to keep people alive. And that was nice. Let me reach out to someone who might be able to help with this. So I just did. I reached out to I think it was Vegas Valley Water Authority, if that's the correct title. I think they work with Southern Nevada Health District. I still wasn't quite. She explained to me a couple of times. I still wasn't quite sure how they actually work together and overlap. But I was like, okay, so let me just get someone on who can talk about this and answer these questions that people have. So I just said, hey guys, what are your questions about water in Southern Nevada? And then we just broke them down into 3 separate videos and agreed to do them. And he answered all those questions because it's a legitimate concern that people have about, having enough water if you're going to be moving to the desert. So, and he let them know that basically we are, Las Vegas is ahead of the curve in terms of how much water we
Mm.
have compared to actually some of the other states that are part of the Colorado River Pact. So that was where that came from. Just if I keep seeing themes that recur with people who have questions, and I'll try to get someone on. Same thing with Lacey as a realtor. A lot of people are looking help with buying homes and that kind of thing. So I'm like, well, let me bring Lacey on. And I've known Lacey for 5 years at this point,
Hmm.
6 years, I think almost six actually. So I've known Lacey for years, and she once she got into real estate, I'm like, this will be a perfect match. I know her personality. I know people are gonna like her, and they do. Just about everybody seems to love her, and she's very knowledgeable on the subject. And she hustles, and she does what she can, to help people out. So she was the perfect fit for that. So that was just why I went to her to do that and have her help with some of those more intricate details, something that something that somebody else might specialize in more so than myself. So I'll do this kind of collaboration and do this kind of videos with people on certain topics for things like that if I think they can really bring some value to the audience.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, like specifically with like Lacey, for example, how you guys have like those Q&A videos, and like you said, and it's evident by her responses, she is very knowledgeable about what she does, because there's a wide girth of different types of questions people ask in those videos, and she's just whacking at all of them and easily
Yeah.
addressing all of them. And then it's also pretty cool how you guys sometimes have those walkthrough videos of like certain homes or something. So again, that's pretty cool, because outside of that, what you'll see if you're someone from California, for example, is you just go to Zillow, you look at the pictures. That's And maybe they might
Yep.
have like those 3D ones where you can walk through the house. So having something like that where you do a walkthrough of an actual home or apartment, whatever it may be, is also a pretty cool thing. I mean, again, just adds more to your channel that I already think is fairly unique as is. So it's pretty cool thing. I think that's also something that keeps having people that are already there continue to watch and bring in new people.
Yeah, no, thank you. And that's part of it too. I mean, I can give them a lot of information. There's tons of other stuff to see, the information I can give them, things they find entertaining and stuff like that. But I'm not definitely not opposed to having someone else come on and hey, the spotlight is yours. So go ahead and share whatever knowledge you have, and that kind of thing. So if I think somebody else can really help out, then I'll definitely bring them on.
Hmm. So for your channel, at what point do you recall time period wise when it was when you realized, okay, this might actually be something that I can actually do as like a full-time thing?
Uh, well, I knew there was a way to monetize. I knew there was a way to make money. I mean, because when I started, I mean, when you start something, you only have so much of it figured out. You might
Mhm.
have an idea, you might have a rough draft, how you think things are going to go, but I didn't know. I wasn't sure. I was like, okay, there's got to be a way that I can make money doing this. No one else is doing this, and I just can't imagine there's all this empty space in the market, and there's not a way to capitalize on it. So I mean, it was just said about. I mean, it was just last year when I was able to become, start doing this full time. So, it took me a while to get there, but I mean, I had no background in uh, YouTube video marketing, search engine optimization. I had no background in. I didn't have a background in any of that
Right.
when I was getting started. So I mean, I was truly starting from zero when I was doing this, and it took some years for me to learn. So and how to do all that stuff. I mean, I started with the intention of it becoming an income, becoming a full time income. I knew if I was able to help enough people and reach enough people, help enough people that this could become full time. When, I didn't know.
Hmm.
How I was going to get there exactly, I couldn't tell you because I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. I just knew there was a way.
Right. So before you did it full time, were you still doing the nightlife stuff in addition to the channel?
Oh yeah, I would. Dude, I'd get off work 7, 8, 9 in the morning, go film a video, and like go home and crash, or go to the gym after that and just come home and crash. I did some videos in those early mornings where I was so tired after working 8, 9, 10 hour shifts, and yeah, that's what I was doing a lot. On my days off, going and recording. And I'd get out, say I'm at work 5 days a week, get off work, come home, edit, then go to the gym, or get off work, go to the gym, do a little editing before bed, and then just go to sleep. So in the beginning, especially, I was just doing one video a week. That was it.
Right. Yeah, because now you put out a lot of you put out content pretty regularly now, right? I was
Yeah,
scrolling through today, and there was a lot over just the last month or so. For example, there was a pretty good amount that you've. That I don't know if I necessarily recall it was that frequent before, but it's pretty cool.
yeah, it's been at least one video a day for the last few weeks lately, is what it's been. I mean, at some point, I won't be doing a video every day. Because it's good. I like that consistency, and that consistency is good to do. But sometimes it's also good to take a step back and not get so caught up in just trying to knock videos out. So sometimes it could be a good idea to take a step back and refocus, or try something different, test something out, and just see how it goes. See if people like it. So kind of ebbs and flows in that regard. Because I've done before. I've done a video every day for a month, and I've done where I've done just one video a week. So it sort of just depends on what I'm trying out, what I'm testing, or what I have going on, or what's going on in Vegas.
Right. Question for your live streams was so today, like we were talking about prior, was you were doing the walkthrough of Summerlin, and I tuned in. It was like 5:30 ish or something. And when I tuned in, there
Okay.
was like over 400 people were in the stream. I don't know if you remember what the most that it hit at some point, but to me that's crazy that there's 400 over 400 people watching a guy just walk through an outdoor mall area and give commentary. And again, I'm not. It's not like a slide. I'm not because you're answering questions too. It's not like so you're not just like walking around, with a GoPro or something. But it's just the thought of that is the thing now where people will just sit down and just watch just a street pan like this, and then questions get answered behind the camera. It's fascinating, but it's pretty. I think again that's a pretty cool thing that for you, just for people who do that now. But it's pretty interesting that that's a thing.
Yeah, exactly. Took a while to build that up because I didn't start doing live streams initially when they were first available. But I people like those people just like those videos where you just walk around and they get to feel like they're here on the ground level. They get to feel like they're watching from like the first person point of
Mm,
view, and that's the closest thing they'll get to being here without actually being here. So right now with the whole virus going on, I get a lot of Canadians on my live streams now commenting because they can't be here, so they can just all they can do is just watch from their home. But yeah, 400 something. I knew it was going to be a lower turnout because I was walking, in a local place there
oh,
in
that was
summer. I
low.
was doing it. Yeah, that was a lower one.
Oh,
So when I do like if I'm walking around somewhere locally, Summerlin, Town Square might get a little more because some of the tourists go there. Summerlin, not a lot of tourists go there to downtown Summerlin.
hmm,
Um, I announced it like an hour ahead of time, and it's on a weekday, and I did a little earlier than normal. A lot of times I do my weekend ones. I'll do them a little bit later, and I'll announce them ahead of time, at least an hour before. And if I'm going to be on the Strip or on Fremont, that's what a lot of people want to see. So for those ones to get 1,000 people is pretty common.
that's crazy too.
Yeah, I think the most I've had so far is when the day of reopening, actually, on that June 4th, that morning when I went to the Bellagio. I went to the Bellagio. recorded the grand reopening there, then walked over to the Cosmo after that. That one I peaked at about 1,600 people watching.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. Couldn't really keep up with the comments because there was
Yeah,
so
I'm sure.
many. So that's why one of the things I do on my Patreon now is I do separate live streams there, because when you get even today 400 something people, I couldn't keep up with it when it gets really busy. So when you have 800, 1,000 plus, like, to keep up with that is pretty hard.
I couldn't keep up with it,
So
and all I was doing, I was just sitting down. Like you're walking, you're actually doing the content, and I'm like looking at this stuff, and it's going like this. I'm like, I don't know how he's gonna see any of this.
yeah, I see what I can. So when people are like, "You missed my comment," or they're like, "I keep asking this question," or one of the tips on a super chat, "You missed my super chat." It's like, sorry guys, we're trying to engage with you while walking. We're looking at where I'm going, thinking where to go, try not to get run over by a car or whatever, while also every once in a while looking around and trying to make sure my environment is still relatively safe. So like, sorry I missed your one comment, or you keep spamming my comment section with whatever, then you just wind up getting banned or put in timeout. So,
There was one
no.
comment I saw on today's stream that I thought was pretty, and I'm sure this isn't the first time you've seen it, but for me reading that, I thought it was pretty interesting. It was, and you read the comment. It was the person said that they were from LA or from somewhere in California, and they moved to Vegas, and the reason they did that was part from watching your videos. Which I read them, I saw that, and I heard you read it. I was like, that's crazy, but I'm sure that's not the first person you've heard say that, and you alluded to that in the beginning of the video. But that's still pretty interesting that from where you were initially, like what you started doing, you realized the hole in the market, you've filled it, and
Mhm.
now this much time has elapsed, and now there's people that move because partly because in their research they find videos that you've had and they're like, okay, there's this guy saying this and this looks pretty good. He's what he's saying, breaking it down, so I'm gonna make a move.
Yeah, exactly. And that feels pretty cool when people tell you that, like, dude, I moved here because of your videos. And that part feels good. I mean, granted, like, there's got to be more to it, I would
Of
say,
course.
than just
Of
that.
course.
But I think it's for a lot of them, it provides a certain level of comfort, a certain level of security, and gives them some more confidence about coming here when they get to see someone else show, or they get to see, okay, this person said, hey, check out for this, watch for this, think this neighborhood, or this is just what it looks like a day in the life kind of thing. Where I mean, it's just part of it is you're moving to someplace different, and there's that fear of the unknown. Even if you've been to Vegas for a bunch of vacations, most people, they've been to Vegas for vacation, but they've never gone, to a park in Henderson, or they've never gone to some local community event in Summerlin, or whatever the case is. They've never gone to see Mountain's Edge in the Southwest, or
Mhm.
whatever the case is. They've never done any of that stuff. They've just stuck to the Strip or Fremont, and that's about it. And that's all I knew before I moved here.
Right.
That's all I knew before I came here to visit. Even when I signed that lease that day, I had a few hours to kill before the flight, so I hopped in the rental car and I drove down to Green Valley. So I drove into Henderson for a little bit, just to drive around Henderson, just because I wanted to see what the local area was like
Hmm.
before I officially moved here, because I didn't get to see much when I was here for that week. I stayed on the Strip. So I mean, I think for a lot of people, it just puts them at ease. It helps ease their nerves when they're able to see what it's like on the ground level, and see that just everyday people enjoy living their life here, and you can live a happy life here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, because I was in the same boat. Again, I think most people are when you don't look into the area, when all you do is you go to the Strip area or Fremont. That's again, like you said, that's what you know. But once I kind of started digging into it, and then like partly from watching your videos too, one of the trips when I went out there, I made a concerted effort to go to Henderson. I went down to Summerlin. I ate around those places too, because I don't think people usually think Vegas is a place to live for those same reasons. But then when I went to those areas, I was like, this is actually really nice. Like these, at least those spots. And I know obviously there's parts that aren't as desirable as that's the case anywhere, but at least those areas that I went, and even in my research of Henderson, I remember I kept finding like it's one of the safest places to live. All that I kept reading, and I mean it looks like it too when you're driving around.
Yeah, Henderson just recently, and again for last year, I forgot the publication that named them the second safest city in America to live in, and this is
Yeah.
for large cities actually.
Mhm.
So because now Henderson's over 300,000 people, so I think they've gone from at least in this publication, they consider anything over 300,000 to be a large city. So they
Hmm.
used to be a medium-sized city. Now they're considered, I guess, a large city in that regard. And they're usually up there for safety year after year. So depending on what publication you look at, but you'll probably find their name somewhere.
Yeah, I think I'm that's the same one that I saw because I remember they were like number two.
Yeah. So they're doing pretty good. They've Henderson has a pretty good reputation.
Yeah, yeah. Again, yeah, like I said, everything I researched, that's what I was seeing as well. Jacob, that's all I got for you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for answering all my questions. I'm sure you're even more tired now, especially. I mean, I was looking like looking at the video. I was like, it kind of looks like it might be hot there while you were
It
walking
was.
around.
It was in the low 90s when I was doing the live stream today. So in the sun, it'll this dry heat will beat the crap out of you.
Yeah,
It will, but when you're shade, it's not too bad. But yeah, a couple hours out in that sun, and you're gonna be feeling it on your skin for the rest of the day.
yeah, I don't doubt it. So I'm gonna let you go, man. I appreciate the time. Thanks for working with me. We made the time work. Thanks for answering the questions. I appreciate it, man.
Hey, all good, man. You're welcome, dude. I appreciate you having me on, Manila.
Of course. Have a good night, man.
All right, take care.
Bye.